From 0 to over 200 miles an hour, under 7 seconds flat, now that's speed.
It only takes 12 gallons of nitromethane to make a quarter-mile run and a top-fuel dragster.
You got to get rid of the old to get something new, and we're getting ready to bring out a new car.
The second oldest drag race in America, looking good at age 29, the IHRA Snap-on Tools Spring Nationals, brought to you by WCYB TV5 and Coca-Cola. Hello again, everyone. I'm Bob Varsha. Welcome to Thunder Valley. For 28 years, the Spring Nationals, here in the home of the International Hot Rod Association, has brought us great drag racing action. But there's something special in the air this year. After 2 rounds of the 93 series, 2 of our professional classes have seen just 1 winner each. In Pro Stock, Doug Kirk is unbeaten, hoping to regain the title that he last held in 1991. And in Pro Modified, the irrepressible South Carolina cannonball Scotty Cannon is hoping to stay unbeaten in his quest for a 3rd straight world championship. Doug Herbert, our defending world champ in Top Fuel, makes his much-delayed season debut, but I'm getting ahead of myself. We've got great weather for the eliminations, a big crowd on hand, and in fact, somewhere down in that crowd is ESPN drag racing analyst Ted Jones, standing by with a very special guest. Ted?
Well, Bob, if you can find me, I'm down here at the Midway. We've got record crowds, some of the best crowds in recent years here at the IHRA Spring Nationals. You know, a lot of history here at Bristol International Dragway. After all, this is the home of the International Hot Rod Association. This is the oldest event on the IHRA Trail. A lot of pleasant memories here at Bristol International Dragway. And speaking of a pleasant memory, Miss Hearst Golden Shifter, Linda Vaughn. Hi, Linda.
Hi, Ted. It's so great being here.
You know, Linda's our honorary starter this year at the IHRA Spring Nationals, and she's been coming to Bristol a long time. I'll bet you have a lot of great memories about Bristol.
The best memories, Ted, I have are the people. Just look around here, all these great and wonderful racing fans. That's what it's all about right there.
Well, indeed it is, and we're glad to have you here, Linda, on our ESPN show. For an update on what's going on right now, not back in history, let's go to the 3rd member of our ESPN broadcast crew. Here's Brett Kepner.
Well, gentlemen, while the tradition of racing permeates Bristol International Dragway, so does the strange tradition of weird Spring Nationals weather. And the 29th annual edition of the Snap-on Tools Spring Nationals was no different. On the first day of qualifying, we had possibly the worst atmospheric conditions we've ever had here on top of the mountain. The corrected altitude was about 4,000 feet above sea level. But a rainstorm cut first day's qualifying short, and a cold front moved in. To show you how much things changed, in Pro Stock, the first day's qualifying leader ended up being dead last in the field when the new atmospheric conditions came through. That really shook things up in the last qualifying sessions, and here on a race day, we've got the highest barometer reading I personally have ever seen here at the Spring Nationals, 30.20 inches of mercury, which means things will probably be even faster than they were in qualifying. That's unheard of here on a hot summer day. But believe me when I tell you, with record fields as far as numbers are concerned, not only of entries, but the lap times and speeds they turned, this could be one of the greatest Spring Nationals ever. Back to you, gentlemen.
All right, thank you, Brett. Here's a look at our race conditions. Not noted there, the barometric pressure, which Brett talked about. High barometric pressure means no chance of rain. Now, before we get to eliminations, let's review the action at our 3M Scotchgard Automotive Protectors Night of Fire. The biggest action came before the sun ever went down. This is Texan Doug Foxworth, winner of the opening event at Darlington, South Carolina. Watch what happened in his qualifying matchup with Diesel John Kerry.
Well, it looked like everything was going to be fine, Bob. All of a sudden, John Kerry, a tremendous explosion, lost control of the car, and as you can see, T-boned right in to Doug Foxworth. There was nothing he could do. He was completely helpless as Diesel John waded into him, although Diesel John couldn't help it either. The car literally went out of control after that violent engine explosion.
And as you can see, before the tangled wreckage of both cars even reached the end of the strip, the professional track services crews were there. Looks like the right rear slick exploded on Kerry's car.
That's right, Bob, and that was the result of that blower explosion. Something went over and hit that slick and caused it to explode. Diesel John was completely out of control. You can still see parts flying around. There's a front wheel going right across the middle of your screen now.
There you see the damage to John Kerry's car. As a result of this accident, he would not qualify for the event. But that is just the beginning of our story. There is the damage to Doug Foxworth's machine.
Foxworth's machine does look repairable, Bob. He may be able to make it for the final.
Now here is our first look at the defending IHRA Top Fuel World Champion, Doug Herbert, in a brand new 300-inch dragster. Watch the pass.
The Tostiasis Lamani N-Car can gives you the ride of your life. 5.17, a fantastic lap time and a new track record at Bristol.
Then as darkness closed in, Pro Mod qualifying, a solo pass for the two-time defending champion, Scotty Cannon.
Cannon on a run, a 669, 207 miles per hour.
Just like Cannon, this man can do no wrong. Doug Kirk, the 1991 Pro Stock World Champ, winner of the first two events in 1993, fastest qualifier here at Bristol.
The Kirk Trucking sponsored machine on a lap, same lane, 7:02, 197.
And in our final professional category, alcohol funny cars, this is Terry Mullins.
This is what the Night of Fire is all about, racing under the lights. They appear to be going faster than they actually are, but talk about speed. This is an alcohol car, folks, 6:08, 227.
This year marks the return to Bristol International Dragway of Bob Mose and his 2.5-ton, 17,000 horsepower Jet Kenworth. Watch this, folks. Now you know why those officials were running. ESPN Speed World coverage of the Snap-on Tools Spring Nationals is brought to you by more than 700 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the right parts at the right price. By Performax from Pennzoil, the new synthetic motor oil that protects to the max. And by Splitfire, the patented performance spark plug. It only costs more until you use it. We'll be back with more on the extraordinary saga of Doug Foxworth. Stay with us. Welcome back to Bristol International Dragway. Now, you've already seen highlights of the incredible shunt involving John Kerry and our Top Fuel Points leader, Doug Foxworth. As we mentioned, it was just the beginning of the story. Deep into the night, Brett Kepner filed this report on Doug Foxworth repairs.
It was definitely a brutal crash, there's no question. And the remains of the front end of the Havoc machine give credence to just how rough it was on the chassis. But only a few minutes after they got the car back to the pit area, the entire Havoc crew, Bobby Rex, the crew chief, even driver Doug Foxworth himself, began working on the front end, straightening out the chassis, rebuilding the body panels. And if this looks familiar right here, these are pieces off of John Kerry's car. Kerry actually lent them a few pieces to get the front end back together. They've already straightened the chassis. You can see crew chief Bobby Rex, Marvin Foxworth, even fellow competitor Wayne Bailey, making sure that this thing is straightened out. There was damage all the way down the car, all the way down to the very end, to the engine. On that run, believe it or not, the team heard a lot of engine parts. So while the volunteer crew is fixing the chassis, they've already installed this other engine as well. The team is literally building a brand new car. And even though it's a couple of hours after the crash, this is going to be an all-night effort, and it's involving racers and crewmen from all over the Top Fuel fraternity. We talked to the driver of this incredible mishap, or one of the drivers who went through it, I should say, Doug Foxworth, to find out what it was that he felt was happening.
I think Kerry blew a tire. All I know is I threw the parachute's out. It's right at this point where you really start relaxing. You're turning the computer off, you're turning all the switches off. You're really kind of looking around, thinking about the run, and all of a sudden, you know, he was in my lane, and it was just way too late to correct. I tried to move over, but by the time I was moving over, he was already on top of me. We came to this deal for the long haul for the season. I mean, we came for the points championship for the whole program. We got an excellent running car. We got a great team. I mean, we're all willing to do what it takes to run. Of course, we're extremely disappointed. We're down a long ways. I don't really know if we can be serious contenders for tomorrow, but I do know that we will have it ready to go to the starting line tomorrow.
And in just a few moments, we'll show you what happens to Doug Foxworth. But now let's take a look at the quarterfinals in alcohol funny cars. There's your #1 qualifier, Terry Mullins, and there is his opponent from Lisle, Ontario, Doug Pearson.
Well, Terry Mullins, kind of a local hero. He's from nearby Oak Ridge, Tennessee, the atomic capital. Terry has always done very well here at Bristol, Tennessee, and managed to step up, as you said, with that number 1 qualifying position, as you saw earlier. Definitely the favorite to bump off the Canadians.
Each car using about 525 to 550 cubic inch V8 engines, running on cool-burning alcohol. Close to 6 seconds at over 220 miles per hour. Mullins with a great launch. Hirschham gets a little sideways. It looks like Mullins at the line.
Mullins pulls it out with a 6:13, 226 miles per hour, and a nice 460 reaction time.
And that reaction time is all important. That will determine who gets lane choice when the winners of these races meet in the next round. There is a look at Joe Camella from Parma, Ohio. His opponent in the bright lime green ethanol-powered car, 2-time defending world champ Mark Thomas.
You know, Thomas in the ethanol car, absolutely amazing, because Thomas doesn't really run that great of numbers. The thing Thomas will kill you with is consistency. He runs a very decent number, and he does it over and over and over again. And that's why he's a defending world champion twice.
Beautifully turned out cars. Now they take their time coming to the line because alcohol is such a cool-burning fuel. No chance of overheating. Up come the RPM. Camella the last one in. Good launch for both cars. Identical reaction times. We got a drag race.
Thomas pulls it out with a 6:16, 227.90, 26 thousandths of a second difference, because as you said, Bob, the reaction times were identical. You never see that.
Camella with a terrific launch in the right lane. Thomas got a little bit sideways, but at half track, he starts to pull up. Side by side to the line, make it about half a car length. And so Terry Mullins and Mark Thomas advance their opponents in the next round. Mullins will meet Todd Payton, who beat Jim Bailey. Mark Thomas will go up against Gary Rattel, who knocked off Floyd Corky East. Mullins and Rattel will have lane choice. When we return, we'll take a look at Pro Stock and meet the king of the Pro Stockers, Tricky Ricky Smith. Stay with us. Back at Thunder Valley, Bristol, Tennessee, there is a look at the oldest multi-use timing tower in all of drag racing, built in the mid-1960s for the use of officials, press, and hospitality. But you see, that's the way here at Bristol International, which is not only a dragway, but also a raceway, a multi-purpose facility for both drag racing and oval racing, built by Larry Carrier. There's a look at the fastest half-mile oval in all of stock car racing. You've seen this here on ESPN, a track so tight that the drivers have to look up through their windshields to see the next corner, and it provides some of the best short track action you'll ever find. Bristol International, a tribute to the vision of Larry Carrier and one of the greatest multi-use racing facilities anywhere. Let's pick up the quarterfinal action in Pro Stock and begin it with a look at the king of the mountain motors from King, North Carolina, Ricky Smith. A 5-time IHRA Pro Stock champion. Ted and I were there in 1989 for Ricky's most recent triumph in the heyday of one of the greatest names in straight line racing. All Ricky Smith has to do is win this round against his old car being handled by Jim Yates, and Ricky Smith will be world champion. There they go. Ricky Smith is off the line first. He has a considerable lead on Jim Yates. Down the halfway mark, Ricky continues to hold. Ricky Smith has just won the championship of the world. The king of the mountain motors has done it again. From King, North Carolina, Ricky Smith has an unprecedented 5th world title.
IHRA has meant a lot to me. You know, we won 7 world championships over here, 5 in Pro Stock and 2 in Sportsman. So I've had a lot of success over here, you know, with Ford and Pontiac. You know, I won with both cars, and we're just glad to be able to have success with like that, you know, with 2 different combinations. A couple different sponsors have been with us, so we've had a lot of good years, and I'm really proud of what we've accomplished over here.
But like any racer, Ricky Smith is subject to the tough economic times. His most recent sponsor, STP, paired Ricky with his lifelong racing hero from just down the road in North Carolina, King Richard Petty. But Ricky's STP support went away at the end of the 1992 season, and now he's struggling to make it on his own.
Well, you know, it's pretty tough this year, you know. Luckily, we've got Pontiac helping us out, and just friends like the Huff family over here helping us out. So, you know, this Southland fire extinguisher guy, he's just a good friend of ours. And people like that right now is what's pulling us through this deal.
Well, in addition to Southland Fire Extinguisher, Ricky has another very colorful sponsor this year that helped him out a little bit to get through, Carolina Drilling, and they don't drill water wells. They drill and plant dynamite, Bob.
Just the kind of sponsor you want for a guy like Tricky Ricky Smith, who is as explosive as they come off the start line. He goes up against Stafford, Virginia's Jim Revis, 760-plus cubic inches of Pontiac power in each car. Ricky is away. He's got him by a car length.
Ricky pulled it big on the top end with a 497 reaction, 705, 198 miles per hour. And did you see that car get up and walk in high gear as he opened up a big lead in just the last couple hundred feet?
Now here comes the 1991 Pro Stock World Champion and the points leader, undefeated thus far in 1993 from Lenoir, West Virginia, Doug Kirk. A 93 Olds Cutlass and a big 786 cubic inch Pontiac V8.
Kirk, of course, a second-generation drag racer sponsored by his father's trucking firm, Kirk Trucking. Young, quick reflexes, could probably win this event one more time.
Doug Kirk got a big break back in 1987 when another IHRA Pro Stock champion, Roy Hill, put the young Doug in the car. Doug went on to win his own championship. Roy Hill is here this weekend, mounting a comeback. He'll watch as his former protege goes for the race win here. Kirk is staged. Akeza is staged. They are away. Clean start, lifting the front end as Akeza on the right lane. Doug Kirk takes advantage, side by side.
Kirk pulls it out with a 714, 197 miles per hour. The Akeza was deep stage, cut a tremendous light, but Kirk had more horsepower. In the semifinals, Doug Kirk will meet Floyd Cheek, who beat Tim Neighbors in this round. Ricky Smith will go up against Terry Leggett, who beat Charlie Garrett. In a moment, we'll have our first look at the wild men of Pro Modified. Stay with us. Welcome back to Bristol International Dragway and the Snap-on Tools Spring Nationals. It's time now for our regular news feature, brought to you by Drag Review. Here's Brett with the headline, New Machinery.
On this edition of Drag Review, it's nothing but the news, the new car news. It's amazing that at the 29th annual Snap-on Tools Spring Nationals, so many new cars would be debuted, especially this late in the season. As a matter of fact, there are brand new race cars in virtually every single pro category, including the shocker of them all, the brand new Corvette debuted by the one and only Scotty Cannon. Now, let's face it, Cannon has been the dominant force in the OnSat magazine Chevy Luminas and ZR1s for the last 18 months or so. In the last month, however, alone, he's been in the finals of 2 match races and lost. What would have been his 12th and 13th consecutive event wins went down the drain. So Cannon decided to fight fire with fire and debut a brand new OnSat Chevy Corvette right here at the Spring Nationals. It made its maiden voyage in qualifying, and the car went from a bare chassis to a competitive race car in less than 4 days. In Pro Stock Eliminator, the reigning world champ and the driver is having the worst year of anybody at 93, Billy Huff out of Shepherdsville, Kentucky, chose the Spring Nationals to debut the very first 1993 bodied Firebird in IHRA Pro Stocker with an 802 cubic inch power plant. Even in Pro Alcohol Funny Car, there's a brand new ride of a longtime IHRA supporter. Tom Akers, based out of Arkansas, has brought out yet another Wizard funny car, another Dodge Daytona painted in the traditional Wizard green, with Colorado and Mike Rieger behind the wheel. But in Top Fuel Eliminator, the reigning IHRA world champion is trying to debut a brand new car right into the winner's circle here at Bristol. Indeed, Doug Herbert, the man who won this event last year, is trying to become the first man in the 29-year history of this event to repeat a Spring Nationals Top Fuel victory with a brand new race car. That's this edition of Drag Review.
All right, thank you, Brett. We have a big crowd on hand on a beautiful summer day here in Thunder Valley. Let's move to the quarterfinals of Pro Modified. There he is, the Animal Jim Fuhrer from Lakewood, Illinois. His opponent, Mark Carter from Okarsh, Oklahoma.
Well, Carter got here by going past Pat Moore in the first round. As you know, Moore drives that potent Camaro owned by NBA star Larry Nance. And Animal got here by beating Jim Halsey, a Maryland ZR1 Corvette, powered by a 706 Chevy. So, two 700 cubic inch cars on the line, but it's Ford versus Pontiac. You heard Brett Kepner mention match racing, big bucks exhibition races. Animal Jim Fuhrer is the man to watch in match racing. And right now, he lays a huge tree on Mark Carter. Animal Jim with a 486 reaction picks up the win with a 694, 201 mile per hour. Actually, Carter was quicker with a 679. But the difference, a 6:58 reaction time for Carter, almost 2/10 slower than Fuhrer. We move on now to Steve Johnson from Carpentersville, Illinois, against Donnie Little from Fillmore, Illinois. Johnson running 706 cubic inches of Chevrolet, as is Donnie Little. Now, Little match raced for the past couple of years. He's just now stepping into prominence on the IHRA circuit. An all-Chevy battle. Two more nitrous-boosted cars. We have yet to see one of the big blowers that's common to the alcohol-burning machines. Great-looking Corvette for Steve Johnson, and a great launch. Little very slow getting up to speed. An easy run for Johnson. Johnson with a 687, 200 miles per hour. The reacts actually were pretty identical, 514 to a 550, but Little definitely had a problem right off the line. Now here comes the man we've been talking about, the Cannonball, Scotty Cannon from Lyman, South Carolina. His opponent, young Jason Peterson from Sioux City, Iowa. Peterson with a 706 cubic inch Pontiac. Scotty, of course, limited to only 526 cubic inches. That's the maximum you can have when you set a big huffer on top. Now there you see the huffer, the blower. Very distinctive. The supercharged cars like Scotty Cannon's, as opposed to the nitrous-boosted cars like Jason Peterson's with the hood scoop. Peterson may well try and put a gate job on Cannon. He has to take a shot on him because, let's face it, Scotty runs, and he does. Peterson, 423 to 494 reaction time, but he breaks at half track. Oh, you had him covered. Scotty Cannon, 674, 193 miles per hour. Peterson put a gate job on him, then broke. So Steve Johnson will face Animal Jim in the next round. Scotty Cannon will take on former class champion Tim McAmis, who beat Pete Williams in round number 2. When we come back, Top Fuel, and we pick up the story of Doug Foxworth. Stay with us. Back at the Snap-on Tools Spring Nationals, presented by WCYB TV5 and Coca-Cola. We're ready for Top Fuel elimination. First, let's meet the king of the Top Fuelers and talk tech with Big Daddy Don Garlitz in another edition of Inside Scoop.
A 5,000 horsepower nitro engine requires a tremendous amount of fuel. To burn that fuel, you've got to have a really hot spark. Now, the Magneto companies have done a good job. They've built mags that deliver a lot of spark, but they do also require a lot of maintenance. So along comes this company that builds this little thing called a condenser. It stores energy from the previous cycle to deliver it to the spark plug when it's time to be fired. Now, where the spark plug wire used to go in like this, it's a simple thing. You put the condenser in just like this, you shorten up the spark plug wires, you hook them up, you're ready to go. Only about 5 teams have this device right now, but it really looks promising for the future.
If there's one guy who appreciates a new technological trick, it is Big Daddy. Now here is our first look at the brand new Top Fuel dragster of defending world champion Doug Herbert. There is his opponent, driving one of John Kerry's machines, Mike Smith. Now, Mike's boss, John Kerry, is out of the event after his big crash with Doug Foxworth, but this is the second car on that team, a pair of second-generation racers here, Ted.
That's right. Mike Smith, the son of Paul Smith from Boynton Beach, Florida, who for many, many years campaigned very ruggedly on the IHRA trail, and that's really where Mike cut his teeth. Doug Herbert, a second-generation drag racer, going all the way back to the Herbert Cams fame, and of course, as you can see, sponsored currently by Herbert Performance Parts.
And On the Edge Sportswear. Doug Herbert missed the season-opening Winter Nationals at Darlington, so he has no points coming into this weekend. He picks up some for being number 1, but he's got to go to the victory if he's going to stay with Foxworth for the World Championship. He's got this one.
Doug Herbert, a 5:14, 277 miles per hour. That's phenomenal in the altitude and the heat we have right now. The Tostiasti Spumani in-car cam looking sideways. You'll see just what Doug Herbert would see if he looked sideways outside that car. Mike Smith comes up at the end, but it was too little and too late. Now there is a look at Richard Langston, number 2 in points coming in, the runner-up at the Winter Nationals. His opponent, the man who drives for Big Daddy right there, guiding former funny car world champion Bruce Larson into place. The Garlitz-Larson combination is really beginning to come on. You know, this combination probably with Bruce Larson at the wheel has more potential than any combination in drag racing. Larson, who drove for many, many years, Garlitz, the genius and the innovator. You know, this has to be very intimidating to Richard Langston looking over there at these two old veterans. You see the totally enclosed cockpit, just one of Don Garlitz's innovations. There's Richard Langston from Carson City, Nevada, where he's in the casino business. The thunder of two 5,000 horsepower machines on the way. Looks like Langston has the advantage. Oh, and a big engine blow. Big problems for Bruce Larson as Langston takes the victory. Actually, Langston had it won right off the starting line with a better reaction time, Bob, coupled up with that 5:28, a better ET. You can see clearly here that he's first off the line. Now watch him come around and pass Larson. Right now, you're going to see the car start slowing down as that engine goes away. He hits the finish line, and boom, the engine lets go right there. Fire and smoke puffing out the back of that car. As it cruised by at the end of the run, you could see the fire coming out the side of the block. It looks like maybe a connecting rod or something came right out the side of the block. Now take a look at this. This is Doug Foxworth's totally repaired machine. At least Doug better hope so. Points leader following the Winter Nationals at Darlington. Every team in the pits came together to get Doug Foxworth to this point. His opponent, Randy Meyer from Spring Hill, Kansas. Well, there's a rumor in the pits they're calling this thing the quilt. I mean, it's patched together. Down the track they go, and Foxworth blows over. A huge crash for Doug Foxworth. The car comes apart. You see him there in the roll cage. One final roll over. He stops on all four wheels, or what's left of it, and right now we see him moving. He is moving inside that cage. Now we have access to the IHRA officials radio network, courtesy of Racing Radios. Let's listen in.
Tell him on the starting line he's okay. Tell him on the starting line. Somebody get over and tell him she's okay. The driver's okay. We're here with the driver. The driver appears to be okay. He shook up, but no evident damage so far.
And that's good news. The Doug Foxworth crew waiting anxiously at the start line. Now here's another look. The dreaded blowover. You can see the car starting to lift at about the 8th mile mark. He turns completely over, comes down, disintegrates the top end. Look how far through the air that car flew before it ever actually come to impact with the asphalt surface. These cars are incredibly strong. As the bodywork is shed, you notice how the frame rails and the roll cage hold together. Look at the reaction of the crowd. Right on top of it, a bird's eye view. Now watch this one final roll slowly over. Foxworth just tucks in and holds on. The smartest thing he could do. Keep the arms inside the chassis. And note also that the car doesn't hit anything. It kind of tags the wall with a nose. Here from our ESPN finish line camera, you see the car take out the lights and watch as the debris follows him down the racetrack. Well, those parts being moved along by inertia, there's the wing. It caused the whole problem.
Did it hurt right here, dog? Yeah, I think it's just because I hit the tubing when it was... Yeah, because you got a cut out. Come back down and hit the ground. Did you? Okay. It's mostly just like I hit in the head. That's my biggest problem. Still dizzy? Yeah, I mean, it's getting better, but... Is it? You got tingling on your lips and stuff, or... No? What about your nose? No? Yeah, it's just like dizzy at all? It's a real bad headache, and you can't focus on everything real well. Okay. I got hit on the head last night, too. Yeah. You want to take a ride to the hospital and get checked out? Probably wouldn't hurt. Yeah, I think it'd be a good idea, Doug. I really do. Okay.
A truly frightening moment. We know that Doug Foxworth is okay, but his crew did not. Those scary moments during an accident. You see the medical staff taking no chances with Doug Foxworth. Now Brett has caught up with his car owner, Bob Rex.
Bobby, you are obviously disgusted with the situation that's occurred here. It looks like Bobby is probably all right. He's just going in for your observation. He was complaining of a problem in his left leg. He said it felt like it hurt pretty good when it came down. But this wasn't a problem with the way the chassis was either. It was just a traction problem.
Yeah, there wasn't anything wrong with the car.
It was going straight.
Yes, sir. It just come off the ground and the wind caught it. And after that, you know what happens when the wind catches it.
Yeah, the first IHRA blowover yet, and this one looks unrepairable, but I think we're all happy that the driver, like I said, Bobby was conscious and talking. I think we're happy that he's just the way he is.
Thank you.
Great effort.
Thank you.
Well, one wreck like that is bad enough, but it has been a long weekend for Bobby Rex, driver Doug Foxworth, and his crew. We'll be back. Bristol International Dragway, where the crowd is still a little shaken after that huge top fuel crash involving Doug Foxworth. Here's Brett Kepner.
So often we talk about the safety requirements that the International Hot Rod Association mandates in these cars, but one look at what Doug Foxworth's machine went through is a good indication of how well they're built. The engine cocked in the chassis. The rear of the back half of the car actually bent to one side. The front is destroyed, but look at the cage. The actual cockpit where the driver is supposed to be secure indeed did its job. It's as straight as an arrow, and that's why Doug Foxworth was awake and speaking when the safety crews got to him.
All right, thank you, Brett. We will move on now to round 3 in Pro Modified. There is Steve Johnson from Carpentersville, Illinois, in his 1993 Corvette ZR1, and his opponent, the absolutely striking paint job of Animal Jim Fuhrer from Lincoln, Illinois.
Well, this will be the traditional old Ford versus Chevy battle. Johnson with 706 inches, Animal Jim with 700 cubic inches of Ford. Pair of nitrous-injected cars. Great leads for both drivers. Looks like maybe Animal Jim on the far side has an advantage, but here comes the Corvette. Wow, what a run. 681, 202 miles per hour for Johnson as he bumps off the Animal.
So we have one nitrous-boosted car into the Pro Mod Finals. If there's going to be a supercharged car there, it's going to have to be this man. Scotty Cannon trying to stay undefeated as he goes against former champion Tim McCamus from Moscow Mills, Missouri.
Well, both of them running 93 Corvette ZR1s, and as you said, Cannon, the blown car, limited to 526 cubic inches. However, McCamus running 706 cubic inches of get a load of this Oldsmobile power.
McCamus is a shop foreman for Jerry Haas race cars in Illinois, so he knows chassis when he builds them. Supercharged car is staged. Here comes McCamus. They are away. McCamus lifts the front end. Scotty Cannon inches out front.
Oh, Cannon barely pulled that one out. 6.73 to a losing 677. The reaction time, McCamus had him off the line of 474 to a 490, and you can see it right there as we replay it, Bob.
Both cars bouncing down the strip, but holding straight and true at the line, less than half a car length for Cannon. So Scotty Cannon rolls on, looking for his third straight victory. He will face Steve Johnson in a nitrous-boosted versus supercharged final. Now let's move on to the semifinals in Pro Stock. There is Ricky Smith. You heard him mention earlier that he has teamed up with the Huff family. That would be reigning world champion Billy Huff, who's having all kinds of problems this year. But he is teamed with the king of the mountain motors, Ricky Smith, trying to find a winning combination. There is Smith's opponent, the quickest car in the class, the world record holder at 6.909 seconds, Kerry Leggett from Pinetown, North Carolina.
This is real significant. Leggett running a General Lee Edwards mountain motor. Now, Ricky has dropped a Sonny Leonard mountain motor down in. So the battle of the mountain motor kings. General Lee, who really was a pioneer in mountain motor drag racing.
A mountain motor, anything over 500 cubic inches, and these guys are both way beyond 500 cubic inches. Looks like Smith has the advantage at half track.
Ricky pulls it out with a sensational 7.11, 196 miles per hour.
Had him off the line, had him on ET, had him on top speed. He was squirrely as he left the concrete launch pad. But Ricky Smith's driving talent got him to the finish by a car length. This should be a great final. Let's see who Ricky Smith will meet. There is Doug Kirk, a former world champ and the points leader coming in. And there is the machine of Floyd Cheek from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Both of these cars sporting 786 cubic inches. Pontiac for Kirk, Ford for Cheek.
Floyd Cheek actually cut his teeth in drag racing in the modified ranks, was a world champion, an IHRA star, an NHRA star, then moved into pro stock and has done very well.
Actually, Floyd Cheek's engine is slimmed down. It was over 800 cubic inches. Good leaves for both drivers. Looks like maybe Cheek with the advantage. Now here comes Doug Kirk.
Kirk passed him on top end with a 710, 197 miles per hour, and that gives him lane choice. Ricky slowed to a 711 on his run.
I said earlier it was reaction time. It's actually ET that determines lane choice, and you're right. Doug Kirk will have it with this pass. He knew Ricky Smith was in there with a 711. He needed a 710, and he got it. And so our matchup in the final will be Ricky Smith, the 5-time world champion, against Doug Kirk with just one world championship to his name. We'll be back with Top Fuel when we return to Thunder Valley. Welcome back to the Snap-on Tools Spring Nationals on a warm afternoon in Bristol, Tennessee. We are ready for Alcohol Funny Car semifinals, and our first matchup features the points leader, Todd Payton from Paris, Ontario, Canada, up against Terry Mullins from Atomic City, Oak Ridge, Tennessee.
Well, Mullins running that new mountain motor option that IHRA allows, 542 cubic inches, and let's see if it can work for the #1 qualifier.
Mullins in the left lane with the advantage. Now here comes Payton. Payton takes it.
Incredible. Payton pulls it out with a 6:14, a great 4:46 reaction time over Terry Mullins losing 6:15.
You want to know how much action can happen in a drag race? Todd Payton came off the line behind Terry Mullins, drove around him to take the victory by just that much. Now there's a look at the Ethanol Performs machine of 2-time world champion Mark Thomas from Louisville, Ohio. And there's his opponent, Gary Rattel from Nashville, Tennessee.
Well, Rattel going the big cubic inch route, 540. That's big for an alcohol motor. Thomas sticking with the traditional, tried, tested, and proven 526 cubic inch combination.
So Thomas is going to have to be a little bit slicker, wind it that much higher, be that much better off the start line.
Thomas is off first, Bob.
Thomas is out, but he smokes the tires and gives up about 2 car lengths to Rattel, but comes back.
Something happened to Rattel. The car went away. Thomas wins it with a not-so-respectable 6:41, but he'll take an A-way and get it, I assure you.
Absolutely. Smoked the tires on the launch pad. Here's Rattel's launch, straight and true, but look at the left lane. Mark Thomas almost gets sideways.
It appears as though Thomas has given the race to Rattel as he starts pulling away. Now, Thomas gets his composure, his traction together, and Rattel breaks and goes away.
So that'll make our Alcohol Funny Car matchup, Todd Patton and Mark Thomas. And now we move on to semifinal action in Top Fuel. There is Jack Ostrander from Waterford, Michigan, with the appropriately named 300 Bowl. Jack does own a bowling alley. Over in the pits, here's Brett Kepner.
Well, here in the Top Fuel pits, it looks now like Doug Herbert maybe end up making a solo run in the semifinal, because here at Randy Meyer's pit area, this is what's left of the clutch that came apart during the run with Doug Foxworth in the first round. The fingers on the clutch came literally apart, disintegrating. The pilot bearing completely seized up. The discs destroyed, and Randy Meyer has zeroed the pits and has made the decision that you probably won't bother to go up for this particular round. You didn't have that many parts anyway.
Right, we are low on the clutch parts at this particular time with all the parts we've been using and stuff, and to have it, the parts that we need to run against Doug, we're just probably not going to make it in time to get up there and run with him.
So Doug Herbert will get a bye run, and that's a big break for him as he tries to make up ground on Doug Foxworth, the points leader, who is now out of this competition. But right now, there is Richard Langson, and he will face Jack Ostrander in this semifinal matchup. Great launch for Langford, straight and through, bounces the front end a little bit, leaving rubber all the way down the strip. Ostrander pulls the victory out with a 5:23, 264 miles per hour. Actually was a little slow off the starting line. Look at it one more time. You see him break loose a little bit of tire smoke as he carried the front wheels. Now, it's side by side at the 8th mile mark. You can see Ostrander pull out in front and take a decisive victory. And that's why the clutch is so important, as you watch the reaction from Jack Ostrander's crew. Randy Meyer didn't have the clutch he needs to bring 5,000 horsepower to the racetrack against Doug Herbert, so he decided not even to try. There is Doug Herbert with the help of our onboard cameras. Let's get a look at what it's like to launch yourself down the quarter mile, 5,000 horsepower at your back. Well, we're going to go inside the cockpit now, and with a special camera, let you take a look at Doug Herbert making his final adjustments. He'll pull the face mask down as he finally stages the car, move a few other things, a high-speed bypass, make sure it's in first gear, and what have you, as he gets ready to leave the line. Now, our Tostiasis Kumani in-car cam, you're going for a ride at nearly 290 miles per hour. Yes, sir. 517, 278. He didn't let up a bit, Bob, on that signal. Arrow straight and true. Doug Herbert with a bye into the Top Fuel final, where he will meet wily old Jack Ostrander. The crowd is taking a timeout for a little snack. Why don't we do the same and meet you in a couple of minutes for our final. Snap-on Tool Spring Nationals, round number 3 of 12 on the IHRA Scotchgard Automotive Protectors 3M National Championship Series. Our first final will be in alcohol funny cars. There is Todd Payton from Paris, Ontario, Canada. A large number of great alcohol racers from Canada for some reason. Payton's going to have to go away to beat Mark Thomas, the two-time world champion from Louisville, Ohio. Well, this will be Payton's 6th final round career appearance in IHRA competition, so he's been there too, although Mark Thomas has been there many, many more times, and you can bet the old pro has got it dialed in. 10 years of experience Mark Thomas has on Todd Payton, just 23 years of age. He is the points leader coming in. We'll see if that changes now. Some tire haze off of the car of Mark Thomas, and Payton takes it. Payton has upset the reigning world champion Mark Thomas with a 6:22, 227 miles per hour, and Thomas beat him off the starting line, but his car didn't ET, Bob. Didn't run the number. Mark Thomas with all kinds of problems in the left lane, but Todd Payton runs it straight and true. Take that, world champ.
Points-wise, you're looking real good now.
That's what we're looking to do. I mean, Mark's all well and good and all that, but we got a 4. We want to make that a 1. I mean, that's what we wanted to do since the beginning of the year. Get in here.
Nice going, man.
Actually, I think he was just happy to get to a final.
I tell you what, I'm happy to be here. Of course, we'd like to win. If anybody besides me, it'd be Todd for a while. But he deserves it.
When's this run out? When's this run out? Empire, right?
I hope. Next time.
Okay.
Well, if it happens, we'll be at the Empire Nationals to bring it to you. We move on now to Pro Stock. There is Ricky Smith. In addition to his 5 world championships, 29 victories, the winningest driver in IHRA history, up against Doug Kirk. What can I say? Tricky Ricky is back, and when he's on a roll, he is hot. It seems like he can do nothing wrong. Now, Kirk is qualified number 1. He's got lane choice. He put Ricky over in that far lane, and that was the lane that just ran well. Doug Kirk with 8 career victories, his 3rd final round appearance of the year, looking for his 3rd straight victory. Ricky left him off the line. Tricky Ricky's on a roll. Yes, Tricky Ricky is back. 7:11, 196 miles per hour. Kirk with a 7:15, and Ricky put a gate job on him. A 5:02 to Ricky's quicker, 4:79. Now we're on board with the Tostiasis Kumani in-car camera in Doug Kirk's car, actually mounted on his helmet over in the other lane. You see Ricky driving away. And that's what the driver sees and the disappointment he feels.
He proves once again why he's the winningest pro driver in IHRA history. 7:11 to a 7:15. You left him on the line.
But we needed it. You know how bad we needed it. Southland, Fire Exchanger, Pontiac. Man, I mean, it's been a hard year, and I really need the thing, and I appreciate it. Doug's been on a roll, and I didn't know whether I could stop him or not. You know, when I was doing good, boy, it just, seemed like everything went my way, and I was afraid that Doug was in that same situation, you know. So, hey, I won it. I'm tickled.
Tickled for the 30th time as Ricky continues his march. Meanwhile, Doug Kirk's streak is at an end. Let's see if Scotty Cannon can keep his alive now in the finals of Pro Mod. Cannon in that blown Chevy ZR1 Corvette. His opponent, Steve Johnson, in a normally aspirated but nitrous-boosted 706 cubic inch Chevy Corvette.
Johnson qualified number 10, Cannon number 1. Cannon's the favorite, obviously.
But Cannon is left off the starting line by a tenth of a second, and he drives around.
Scotty Cannon, his 12th career victory, 671, 205 miles per hour. This was oh so close to that big hole shot by Steve Johnson. He's out on top of Cannon down to the 8th mile mark. Now, watch Cannon make the move with the big blown car and pull out the victory.
What are you going to attribute the victory to this time? This time it's the Cinderella story of the brand new car that's never been run.
I was sitting back there, and you never playing your story right before you get up there because you always mess it up, right? So I'm back there and saying, well, if I do happen to win, what am I going to do? Who am I going to thank? What am I going to say? Well, I don't know. I mean,
well, that's good. It's good you came up with that.
Well, you know, like, we got, like, 10 guys, man. All my friends helped me at home. I mean, golly, you know, we got on-set and all these guys to help us, and we had a rough week and burnt 6 pistons, broke 1 rear and a tranny and stuff, you know, over the weekend period of time. But, man, those guys, you know, this bad boy here would not be here if it wasn't for all those friends of mine.
Wow, can you tell that Scotty Cannon talks as fast as he drives? Let's move on now to Top Fuel. Always on the edge. Sportswear top fueler of Doug Herbert. 5 victories and 8 finals coming in. There's his opponent, Jack Ostrander.
Well, we're looking at the old pro versus the young upstart. Doug Herbert on top of the world right now, but Jack has a lot of gray hair. He hasn't had an IHRA win since 1987 when he had 2 IHRA national events, so he's due.
Pontiac Jack pulls in against Doug Herbert. It's been an eventful weekend in Top Fuel, to say the least. Herbert is staged. They are away. Herbert looking good off the launch pad. He's driving away from him.
Not even a close race. Herbert with a 5.11, 278 miles per hour to pick up his 6th career victory. Let's go inside the car with Doug Herbert. The Toskiasis Tremonti in-car camp. He drives away from Ostrander, who has never in it, beats him off the starting line, and he's eating.
We talked about it throughout the event that in the 29-year history of the Spring Nationals, no Top Fuel driver had ever won this event back-to-back. That's history now.
I don't know what to say. It's great. You know, Jack is a tough guy. He's probably one of the toughest racers that there is out here. And, you know, it's an honor to beat him. And I just can't say enough. My shop, all the guys in my shop do a great job. And Herbert Performance Parts and Always on the Edge. And Jim Brissett and all the guys, my mother-in-law and my wife. I just can't say enough. Everybody really helps me out a lot, and I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for all them.
And he's not kidding, folks. The entire Herbert family is steeped in the history of drag racing. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Crowd is filing out of Thunder Valley following the Snap-on Tools Spring Nationals. Ted, how about a look at the point standing?
Well, in Pro Modified, Scotty Cannon has a commanding lead, but look, 200-mile-per-hour Bill Kuhlman is in 2nd place and threatening. In Pro Stock, Doug Kirk with the big lead. Tricky Ricky has moved in, though, to number 5 with that victory today. In Alcohol Funny Car, Mark Thomas down to number 4 as Todd Patton threatens. And in Top Fuel, Richard Langston and Doug Foxworth are locked for 1st place. Doug Herbert moved into 3rd place with his victory here today at Bristol.
Jack Ostrander's runner-up finish has him in 4th place, and watch out for Bruce Larson. He, too, will challenge before the season is out. Our next stop will be the Empire Nationals from upstate New York, July 10th at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and we'll give you a look at the rest of our Snap-on Tools national event schedule. We hope you'll be with us for every stop on the 12 event 3M Scotchgard Automotive Protectors IHRA National Event Season. Our ESPN Speed World coverage of the Snap-on Tools Spring Nationals has been brought to you by Bud Light. If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light. By Quaker State, the Big Q is one top motor oil. And by BF Goodrich TA Tires, when you're ready to get serious.